Um, yeah, I mean, you can see how. Look at how fast the Christian church grew. I mean, they had just from 600 to in 400 years, they must have had millions, maybe I don't know, a billion, maybe people in the Roman Catholic Church. Many of them became soldiers. They went off and killed people. Now, what's that? That has nothing to do with God. God never had one of His saints or prophets go out and kill people. Now, He's probably spoke the truth, a word through the prophets or disciples to have people executed and killed and things like that for some reasons. But He never had any saints kill anybody. We didn't go out killing. God never puts that in our minds. Now, He had me speak the word in January to kill 7 billion people. Now, I didn't kill 7 billion people. You see? It's all in His plan. His plan was to kill everybody in this age. All the flesh is going to die. And that's His will. That's His thing. Okay? All we do is speak for Him. I'm not the God, even though I was created in God to be like God. I'm not the God who created. I'm not the God who did, no. I'm the voice of God in this flesh. It's a very difficult thing to teach that part of who I am. It's taken me over 2 years, and I'm still learning who I am. So I really can't describe that, because think of the mouth and your voice box and your mind. Think of God as the mind, and we're the voice box. We're of the same. You see, when I speak for God, yes, I'm part of God. I could say I'm God. But I'm not, you see, I'm not God. I'm not the mind of God, but I have the mind of God to speak for Him. Okay? And that's the difference. There really isn't a lot of difference, but there, there is. Trust me on that one. And I mean, I'm still learning about that. Just in the last few weeks, I'm touching on this God thing, and I have said I'm God on occasions, and because I know I'm speaking for Him, I can say that. But now I'm learning more and more that I'm more like God than I thought I ever was before. And I know Jesus had the same deal. I know He didn't start out that way in His ministry, but by the time He died, He knew He was God. God in the flesh. At first He couldn't. He really had a hard time admitting that. But over time, it's there. And all the saints had the same deal to go through. They get to the point where, they're God. And that's really frustrates people. I know you're probably frustrated right now listening to that. But that's the truth. That's what's going on. Now everybody's got God in them, because we're all created in His image, but you don't have the knowledge, the sinners don't have the knowledge that we have, that the Word has. So you'll be eternally separated from that, but you're still going to have a great life in paradise. Your life will be wonderful there. But you just won't have that knowledge. You know, you won't be speaking for God ever. You won't need to. You know, you'll have a language, the language of truth, and everybody will be speaking without deception, which is going to be a wonderful existence. We're not going to have all this craziness that we have in this life. You know. So getting back to the scriptures now, these saints then, they were just using the word for themselves, the written word, and when they got killed, the Romans confiscated all these writings, and they used some of them for their New Testament. So what Christians are reading is rewritten words by the Romans. It happened in the time of Constantine. He was the Roman leader that started all this. He's the one that put it all together. It was his ideas. He was a pagan worshiper, so he used a lot of pagan ideas to implement into the New Testament. And that's where you get the communion from, you know. That's where you get the triune God. What else we get? The virgin birth. We get Jesus flying in the clouds. No, the flesh of Jesus never won't be flying in the clouds. Never, 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 never. Why would he? His created state was the Word. As soon as he died, he was still living, and will continue to live forever. So he didn't need a body up in the clouds. That was a Roman deception. And so, you know, that was quite a story there to go along with it. All of that was lies. The Gospels, the three Gospels, that's all just manipulated scriptures, written words that these guys wrote. And of course, some of that stuff is, I can read it, and there's, you know, it's re-inspired, so it's the truth again. I mean, I can read it and understand it because I know the whole story. And that's the difference with us having the knowledge or not. I have the knowledge, I have the whole story. I have the whole picture. When I read that one scripture, I know the whole story. I can write a whole book about that one scripture. You know, coming from many different directions. And that's why I understand the scriptures. I didn't understand them word for word, those scriptures. You can't take one scripture out and understand it. There's no way possible. Now that I have the knowledge, there's absolutely no way anybody can understand the scriptures without the knowledge. It just can't happen. You will never figure out the Genesis story, you know, of creation and Adam and Eve and the sin and all that stuff. You would never be able to understand that. You can't understand the prophecies. You can't understand the prophecies to end this age, or the ones about paradise. There's quite a few prophecies about paradise, but you never connect that. You can't connect it. It just unless you have that whole picture in you, the whole story. So you're being deceived by reading any scriptures in the Bible. You cannot get the whole story. Some of the stories I write probably would take a couple hundred different scriptures from all over in the Bible. You see, just to get one story. Now, I'm not saying I don't use any of those scriptures, but I know a lot of scriptures that are in different areas of the Bible that I used in those writings. Let me go to the next one.